It started like every other sunny afternoon in the quiet, manicured suburb of Northview Heights, a place where porch swings creaked gently and neighbors smiled just a second too long. But beneath the neat lawns and polished SUVs lived an uneasiness that only showed itself when the unexpected entered its bubble. And on this day, that unexpected came in the form of a teenage boy with dark skin, headphones tucked into his hoodie, walking with confidence and calma until suspicion took hold. Mrs. Caldwell had lived on that block for over 20 years, widowed, watchful, and always eager to keep the neighborhood standards in check. She peered through her curtains like a self-appointed guardian. So when she spotted the boy, tall, strong, and unfamiliar, walking slowly near her hedge, her thoughts didn't wander toward understanding. They leapt to fear, or rather, an assumed threat. And with shaky hands and eyes narrowed by decades of bias, she picked up the phone and dialed 911. Her voice trembled, though not from danger, but the thrill of self-righteous panic. "Yes, I'd like to report someone suspicious." "Yes, has a broken bar. He's black, wearing a hoodie. He's looking around. I think he might be scoping houses." That was all it took. Blue and red lights lit the street within minutes. The boy Deshawn had only just pulled out his phone to respond to a message from his mom. He didn't expect to see two officers jump out of their vehicle, hands hovering near their belts, voices barking orders that made him freeze. "Hands where we can see them." "I live here," he tried to say. "I'm just walking to." "Turn around," they interrupted. "Don't make any sudden moves." Neighbors came out one by one. Phones came out next. But none of them intervened. Not yet. Some watched with mild interest, others with the same suspicion Mrs. Caldwell had. Deshawn's heart raced, but he didn't cry. He didn't shout. He just stood still, his gaze calm but boiling with quiet disbelief. This wasn't the first time. But something was different this time. His father had taught him how to stay calm in chaos. He taught him to never lose control because their world expected him to. And this time, when the officers asked for ID, and Deshawn whispered that he didn't have it, just a phone, he added 5 words that turned the entire street into a stage. "Call my father right now." At first, they laughed. One officer snorted. The other rolled his eyes. "Yeah? And who's your dad, Barack Obama?" Deshawn didn't move. He didn't blink. He simply said the number. The officer, more out of curiosity than obligation, dialed. He expected a voicemail box. Maybe a tired parent pleading forgiveness for a misunderstood kid. Instead, he got silence for 5 seconds. Then a voice, smooth, deep, measured. "Where's my son?" It was less a question and more a command. The officer blinked, unsure. "We found him loitering." "We just You didn't find him. He was walking." "That's not a crime. And if you don't uncuff my son in the next 2 minutes, you'll need more than backup. You'll need a new career." The line went dead. And in less than 7 minutes, everything changed. 4 blacked-out SUVs rolled into the street like thunderclouds. Not with sirens, not with noisy, but with a weight, an energy. Doors opened, and men in suits stepped out. Not cops, not FBI, but something more silent, more lethal. Their presence wasn't loud, but it was commanding. At the center of them stepped a man with salt and pepper hair, dark sunglasses, and the kind of posture that made people move without asking why. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't rush. He walked straight toward his son, standing frozen beside a cruiser. And then it hit everyone. The man's face, recognizable from headlines, from rumors, from whispered conversations that only surfaced after midnight. This was him, Luca D'Angelo, the same man who'd vanished from the headlines years ago after a rumored empire of power and secrets fell under federal silence. A man with ties to both sides of the law, whose legacy wasn't just whispered about in alleyways but documented, feared, and carefully avoided. Mrs. Caldwell dropped her phone. The officers straightened, suddenly unsure of their uniforms. Luca walked up to his son, eyes warm now, so different from the razor-cut calm he wore only seconds ago. "You okay, kid?" he asked. Deshawn nodded once. Then Luca turned to the officers. The words that came next were not threats. They weren't angry. They were simple. This boy is my son, and every single person on this street will remember what you did here today. The silence was heavy. Not because of guns, not because of violence, but because everyone watching finally saw the truth. That assumptions could spark fires that power alone couldn't always put out. And in that moment, no badge could shield the officers from what they'd done, not legally, but morally. Mrs. Caldwell tried to speak, tried to explain. But Luca didn't look her way. His eyes were on his son, the only person that mattered. And as Deshawn walked away beside his father, one thought echoed through that quiet neighborhood, louder than sirens ever could.